Hi, everybody. I'm Charlie. Welcome to the live this week. It's so good to see all of you. I did a pre-live, so we know this one's going to work. Last week's live, for whatever reason, got lost into the nether, so we're going to cover a lot of that. We're also going to recap Black Friday stuff. We're going to cover account simplification, and one of my favorite things today, the majority of our live is going to be about targeting via creative instead of using interest groups and behaviors and custom audiences, instead of paying a shit ton of extra money. And we're also going to start off with one of the big learnings from Black Friday, which hopefully you all haven't finished your Black Friday sales yet. But if you have, I've seen a lot of people have a very particular issue. And this goes from the gurus, like, Nick Shackelford can't get things to spend. A lot of agencies can't do things. And there's a very specific reason why we as advertisers weren't, well, not me, but most advertisers were unable to get spend on Black Friday. So we're going to cover all that today. I'd like to say thank you. Welcome to the live. Feel free to ask your questions down below. If I see them while we're doing the live, I'm going to answer them live. If I don't see them while we're doing the live, because you're seeing this and it's fucking February or 2021, that's fine. Comment, tag my name. I'll get back to you personally within 24 hours, if not faster. That's what we're here for, folks. This is going to be great. And I'm really, really looking forward to this live. This is one of the biggest lessons and one of the biggest things that I'm really hoping to move forward with. And, it's really the bulk around a lot of the content that we've been talking about so much in the last month or so. With that being said, thank you to everybody. There's hundreds of people that I still have to approve to get into the group, but the group is public, so you can share all of this stuff to everybody. Remember, it's all free. There's also a Patreon if you do appreciate what's going on here, and you want to show some support or say thanks. There's a Patreon. And in there's also all the ebooks that we talk about, which if you do any of the homework, you get the ebooks for free. So it's not like some pay gate that you have to get behind. It's just, if you want to say thanks, there's a Patreon there. And if you do any of the homework, you get the Patreon for half price. If you do any of the homework, you also get any of the ebooks for half price. Or we do have a premium Slack where people can talk to me. And then a lot of times people end up talking to each other. There's a lot of different rooms, from automation to attribution to creative concepting, different types of strategies, the cost cap CBO, the bucket-based CBO, going in there with the targeting by broad and getting everything else going. Inside of that, there's testing evaluations, there's docs from different conferences and everything. It's really the place where the elite advertisers go in from this group and talk to each other. You can get half off of that if you do the homework. So anyway, really, really thankful for everyone. I'm getting 40, 50, 60, 100 people a day that are requesting to be part of the group. Now, there's a couple of them which are just like weird Asian porn sites, but that's why I don't just hit approve everyone, because I'm trying to get those people out. There's also one asshole that I had to book out last week because he was selling courses for like only $1,000 or $2,000 that he had gotten from everybody else, and he had basically selling hacked or cracked versions of other people's get-rich-quick scam bullshit. So I booted that motherfucker, banned for life. With all that being said, if you're still here, I love you. Thank you very much. Let's get on with today's topics. Okay, so number one reason, starting off with Black Friday. Why did Black Friday sales, why is it so hard for many advertisers to spend money on Black Friday? And this went from the super high level people that were setting like $1 million budgets, couldn't get their things to spend, to people with like $50, $100 and campaign budgets. Most people I know had a lot of hard time doing it. And I actually just avoided responding back to them because my advice couldn't help them after they've already been dealing with the issue. But something that is common to almost everybody is that they were using interest groups, they were using behaviors, they were using really narrow window, like retargeting audiences. They had done this thing, which was very strong practice several years ago, that I see every guru and their fucking mother continuing to spout, and it's absolute garbage, which is run a campaign now so that during Black Friday you can retarget it and you can sell to people. Well, what happens is you get this retargeting audience that's not that large, which means that you cannot spend a lot of money against it, so you're capped and spend there. If you're targeting interest groups and behaviors, you are one of literally thousands or millions of advertisers are targeting those people. Those people aren't getting online anymore than they would any other day, And so there's only a certain amount of inventory, so your campaign won't spend because you're competing with other people who are willing to spend more. The only people that were able to spend set accelerated budgets, super high bids, and blew through all their money to say that they spent money. But as a result, they saw absolute shit performance. The average CPMs that I was seeing domestically were over $40 for people that weren't using accelerated. So if you were using accelerated, it cost for you to reach 1,000 people might have been $50 to $100, which is an absolute garbage CPM. And if you're paying an extra super high premium so that you can sell a product to somebody at a discount, you have effectively run a shit business, right? Because that's terrible, terrible way to run your business. Don't spend all of your margin to then give away something for extra cheap. That is just not the way business is done. So the number one thing that most of these people screwed up on is in the audiences and the targeting and the creatives. They didn't preset their they didn't preload their creatives in to get social proof and launch them well before. If you want to launch a Black Friday sale on the internet, especially on Facebook, you need to be launching at least a week before. You need to be prepping everything where you're saying get your Black Friday deal early. That way you're competing with far less advertisers at a much lower spend level, and you don't need to have your entire business success come from 1 or 2 days sales. It's coming over a slow trickle over a long period of time. And then when the giant Black Friday sales come in, you're using your own proprietary first-party data retargeting audiences as the bulk of your spend, not going out and trying to compete with Sears and with Walmart and with Amazon, because you're going to lose that fucking match every goddamn time. Now, some of y'all are going to say, well, if I loaded my retargeting audience for the week or so loading up against it, and then I retarget them, why doesn't that work? Well, the reason is the majority of the way that people load up their retargeting audiences in these get-rich-quick scam guru strategies, which are employed by everybody, including those fucking gurus that don't know any better, is they're running engagement, they're running view, they're running click campaigns. What they're not running is conversion campaigns. If your entire retargeting audience is full of window shoppers who are never going to buy, when you try to sell to them, none of them are going to fucking buy. And because your estimated action rate, which is the amount of money, which is one of the parts of the equation in setting your bid, is so low, Facebook sees you as a shit advertiser, and you won't even be able to spend on the platform because you're competing with other people like, car companies and mattress companies and electronics companies and big store manufacturers and retailers, because the people are clicking on their ads and they want to buy. So you're running a shit ad against a small audience that doesn't give a fuck about your product, and you're running that with all of your money, and you're not going to spend. The number two reason why these people are failing is because of trying to compete with everybody else doesn't really work. So I was going up on another tangent, but I don't want to. Let's get to a solution, which is in fact this week's homework, right? And going to be the rest of the lesson, because Christmas is still around. You're going to still be launching these sales indefinitely, right? So let's get to the solution of the problem. Number one, you got to target broad audiences during non-peak hours to develop your creatives, and you got to be doing that all of the time. Running against broad gives you the lowest CPMs. Even against broad, I was running at $35, $40, $50 CPMs on Black Friday. That is against every person in America, and I was paying that high. So if you were targeting anything less than that at any reasonable size, you were probably paying more than that, which is one reason you either weren't spending or your performance was absolute shit. If your performance was really good, it probably isn't nearly as successful when you bake into the cost of everything that you use to try to get that audience. If it costs you 10 grand to get an audience and you made 2x money on a 10 grand spend, you broke even. You effectively lost money, right? So how do we resolve this without going broad is broad retargeting. So that goes into this week's homework. It's very simple. Broad retargeting is using the largest retargeting pools that you can based off of your own first-party data, and letting that be the audience that you prospect a sale into. You want to find buyers who are interested in your sales? Find the people who are most likely in your ecosystem already, because if somebody's in your website visitor audience or previous buyer audience or add to cart audience, they are cheaper to reach and more high quality because they're not going to ignore your ad nearly as much than somebody that is in, somebody interested in the type of product that you're selling. So broad retargeting, this week's homework is simple. All you need to do is set up an audience, site traffic lasts 180 days, take a screenshot and send it to me or drop it in the comments section of this live, and you can get any ebook you want for free, half off the Patreon or half off the Slack. Now, why does this work? Puppy, come here. Come on. Bye. So why does this work? Hey, pup. So the reason this works, by the way, this is Puppy. Hi, Austin. Hi, Krish. So why does this work? It's because it's it's the largest audience you can get, so you get what is called an economy of scale. So you get a large enough audience for you to reach them at a effectively still low CPM. But because it's your data, because it's not an audience that other people are targeting, you get to reach them with less competition. Now, yes, somebody that's in your audience might also be in your competitor's audience, but if they're targeting all interest groups, and you're targeting just everybody inside of your website, you're stealing the best leads from them because they're also part of yours, and Facebook will give preferential treatment to you over that impression versus somebody else because your ads are going to people that actually care about your ad, so your estimated action rate is higher, which means your bid can be lower, which means that you're running at a more efficient clip. So hopefully that makes sense. Why did they fail on Black Friday? They were targeting audiences that every other advertiser targeted. Or 2, they had retargeting audiences that were really small. Or 3, they had very large retargeting audiences that weren't based around trying to retarget people who knew the brand, were interested in buying, and didn't already make a purchase. So running an engagement campaign or a video view campaign or a link click campaign does not give you a good retargeting audience to run a sale against. Think if you're at the store and you've got you've got like a really nice window display. You have a bunch of people walking by and they look at your window display. If you then say, hey, if you come inside at the counter and want to buy something, we'll give it to you at a discounted rate. That's far, far less effective than giving a sale to everybody already waiting in line. It's a horrible practice. It's run every single year. And every year we continue to see these super high CPMs, super low performance data, and the inability to spend. And then these assholes will take their performance and give month-long attribution to their initial lead gen sales. That's the lead gen campaign. They said, well, we did this click campaign to go to our website and it got a 28x return. What really happened is they probably spent $10,000 getting that. Then they spent $10,000 trying to convert somebody. Then they run another $5,000 on email and Google search to close the loop, and then they also had customer service. Between all of that, they were able to probably get 5 or 10x return on the click from the very first campaign, but they used that. They had tons of touch points after that they're not telling you about, and they're not accounting into their performance. Their real number might be like 1.7, 2.5. I've seen the numbers. That's the reality of a lot of what these people are teaching you. Whenever you see a number that's over like 3 or 4x return on Facebook, it's never on a one-day click, and it's never at spend, and it's usually somebody lying to you on an Excel spreadsheet. And you're supposed to take their word for it because they're flashy and they make a business trying to sell get-rich-quick schemes to people that don't know any better. And that's why this group exists, because fuck them. They steal my shit anyway and try to sell it back to people 9 months later for $2,000. Fuck them. That's been going on for years. But hey, they're paying their bills and God bless them for it. So anyway, that's the homework this week. Make a 6-month-long audience. And I recommend you try 6-month-long site traffic, 6-month-long add to cart, 6-month-long like view content. These are all really good audiences, right? Because they all have different value. And if you do, if you do site traffic but did not add to cart, you can start to tier your retargeting audience so that when you launch a campaign, for instance, in 2 weeks for Christmas, which you should, if you've been paying attention, start today or right after Black Friday. If you launch your Christmas sale campaign and you're retargeting people for the last 6 months, you're still going to get the most qualified people from the last day or two, but you're reaching them at a cost per impression and efficiency of the cost of the inventory much, much lower than if you only targeted the last 3 days. And you're letting Facebook decide which of those people to reach. And you're making sure that that person that's ready to buy when they want to buy sees your ad from now for the next 2 or 3 weeks. And it also means that because you're running that campaign for a long period of time, all of your ads will get more social proof, and your ads will have their own stages of learning, so you'll be able to siphon out the worst ads, so you don't need to get success in 3 days and run all of your ads and have no optimization at all. So by the time the big rush comes in, by the time every other asshole is spending a fuck ton of money trying to sell people on Christmas shit, you will have already made half of your sales. The only ads you have running are really fucking good, and your inventory is going to cost 1/3 to half the price of all of theirs, because you're using your own audiences that you've already curated based off of retargeting, based off of people that have already shown an interest to buy. And you're going to win. You're going to win every fucking time. Awesome. Okay, so what I really want to get into today, hi Pop, was targeting by creative. Now this is the broad campaign type targeting. And what I want to say is first, I've taught this group, we've come up with the bucket-based CBO system, which is an amazing way of doing creative testing and scaling based on interest groups and lookalikes to get people in places. The CBO system evolved from that. And that was like Q1 this year, the best thing to do. And honestly, I'm starting to see some case studies built around people that are really using that and selling it out. It's totally not something that Tim Bird is selling, not at all. And Kat is using for case studies specifically around Black Friday and Cyber Monday that's currently running right now in market. Completely not happening. I totally promise they're not using what we came up with in January to try to sell people in the spring. The other piece that we were using is a cost cap CBO, which is an evolution of that system where we're using manual bidding to control delivery and to really get the most amount of efficiencies, because some people don't have like an unlimited budget. What they're trying to do is get the most performance at the best cost. So bucket-based CBO is great if you have a budget that you need to spend and you're trying to scale your business. Cost cap CBO is really great if you're not interested necessarily in scale. What you want is efficiency. If you spend $500 today, but you get all your purchases at $25, that's great business. If you want to spend $1,000 and $2,000 tomorrow, and you're not concerned so much about your profit margin, just about the volume of your business, bucket-based CBO is the solution for you. What I'm talking about now is something that is using the Power 5 system, which is something that Facebook's been trying to pitch for a while, which is something that we've done a lot of case studies around. And so I'm going to explain to you the broad-based, the super simplified account setup. For some personal knowledge and a little bit of something about me, I've taken $1 million brands down to a handful of campaigns. Right now I have one account that I'm working on where the entire thing is running on one prospecting campaign. One campaign. And every ad site inside of it is targeting the same fucking audience. Broad. So how does that work? Well, I'm going to tell you. So let's establish a few things right up front. Number one, account simplicity is good for you. It's part of the Power 5 that we came up with Facebook a year and a half ago. That's now being taught by a bunch of people as something new and fresh and exciting. But it's dynamic ads. It's turning on advanced matching. It's account simplification. It's a bunch of these things. We're not going to get into the Power 5 today because you can go on the Facebook Blueprint and get it for free. And then when somebody tries to sell it to you for a couple $100, you tell them to go fuck themselves. So what's the first thing that we know? Account simplification helps because when you give Facebook less options, it spends more money in fewer places, so it gets a larger amount of data on a smaller group of items, so each item gets smarter, right? Because Facebook is a machine learning platform. So if you have 20 campaigns all spending $100 a day or $50 a day, the amount of time it's going to take for any one of those ads or ad sets or campaigns to really work through the learning phase and to make a bunch of mistakes and to have a bunch of wins and scale and be stable is weeks, if not months, if you're lucky. If you can instead get it down to, let's take the hyperbolic other end of it, one campaign spending $1,000 a day, you're going to accomplish the same level of learnings in less than a week. You're going to get it done in days. Right now, I'm just using that because I'm not saying you have to spend $1,000 a day to make this work. You're going to be spending $50 a day. The concept still holds true. That's just the number that went out there. Don't be scared by the number. It also works if your budget is $20,000 a day, $50,000 a day. So it works from everybody, like our friends at giant fucking conglomerate companies, and my friends that I see only in Menlo Park once or twice a year, and I miss you guys. But it also works for those of you like in Germany or Australia, or like the college kids that are drop shipping, or the people that are trying to start businesses. It works for everybody. So what we know, simplification dramatically helps in funneling the data to the fewest amount of places, so the value of that data is as strong as possible. That's number one. Number two, just like we learned from Black Friday and part of the homework, the bigger the audience, the more options you give Facebook, and the lower cost you pay to reach that audience. Every layer of targeting is a premium that you pay, right? It's customization. Like when you buy a car and then you want to add on like extra features, it costs more money. It also makes it less valuable. If you highly customize a vehicle, it's harder to sell it for, anyway, that's a whole other thing. But layers of interest groups and behaviors and all of that stuff increases the amount of money that you pay to reach that audience. So what's the cheapest way running a campaign? It's broad targeting. Age and gender. That's it. Not a big lookalike, nothing else. Broad targeting. Literally just age and gender and location. You should give it a country or whatever, right? Age, gender, location, that's it. You're using nothing else. And you can get even cheaper if you say both men and women and anybody over the age of 18 and just a country or a continent. You will get extremely low priced inventory, right? What's the last thing that we know? The last thing that we know is the learnings happen at the ad level. Facebook has said this all the time, and I've actually been asking reps, my reps and other reps and people that I've worked with to give me really solid internal Facebook documentation around this, but they don't have it. And trust me, I've talked to the engineering team, I've talked to the product team, not once, but like dozens of times. They know who I am. Hi, Rosie. I'm a name that they know in that office. The learnings happen at the ad level. Each individual post has its own life cycle. The ad sets become the salesman trying to figure out which one of those sales pitches, which ad, which post ID is the best way to reach the person that's interested in that ad set. And the campaign will, with CBO, determine which ad set has the best chance of making a sale on an impression right now. Because they all basically, somebody walks into the store, the ad set says, I know who this kind of person is. I have a rough idea of which sales pitch to go for. Every salesman goes to the sales manager, the campaign, and says, I can make a sale at this or at that. The campaign then says which ad set is allowed to go after which impression, and then that ad set says which sales pitch to use, which ad to use against that impression, that person that's walking into the store, right? That's the way that Facebook works inside a CBO with ad sets. That's what's effectively happening. So those are three things that we know for 100% certainty. So how do we build a campaign around it? We do it like this. Thank you again. I believe it was Tony Walton for asking for a whiteboard. So this is an example of a 4 ad set campaign for prospecting. 1 campaign for prospecting with 4 ad sets. We're going broad. We're choosing gender and we're choosing location. So for this one, we're going to say everybody over the age of 25. For this, we're going to say for gender, this is all men and women. For location, for this example, we're going to say the United States, okay? My girl wrote this, Charlie says on it, because she heckles me all the time. Anyway, so this is an account setup. This is what you need to be doing. So let me walk you through what it is that you're seeing here. This is a broad campaign set up by creative concept, with each creative concept only having one variable. Okay? So, for instance, our creative concepts are salesmen focus in around one element of the sales pitch, right? Sorry, my hat is, it's just, I got this hat while I was out recording in the desert, and I felt like I've been killing it lately, so why not wear the hat? Anyway, so we have 4 concepts here. Number 1 is price, right? We have the lowest price. Quality, we have the best product. Product shots, this is what you're actually buying. And testimonials, okay? Now, you might have a dozen concepts. I mean, I will often have at least 10 concepts running, but I'm not going to write 10 fucking things on this board. And you might not have the creative resources to knock those out. Now, inside of each of these concepts are 3 ads. For the purposes here, I've massively oversimplified it, but it will work. Where this has one picture, maybe a video. One piece of creative per ad set. And we have copy A, B, and C. Copy A, B, and C is the same copy across each concept. Copy A is the same copy A. Copy B is the same copy B. Copy C, well, it's not different either. Okay. So for you to set this up right now, you need 4 images, or 3 images in a video, or 4 videos. However you want to do it. But if you notice, one of the other things here is that each of these concepts focuses on a very different type of sales pitch. So when we're talking about that, what the creative is going after is trying to find people that are going to respond to that element. And you see this all the time. Even when you look at ads like on television, right? Like even Geico, they've got the little chick, and they've got the you know, they've got the gecko, all the things. So different types of ads get people to respond differently. We see testimonials all the time. We see product shots all the time. And it's not to say that the quality couldn't be a product shot, but maybe, let's say this is a leather wallet, right? The price might be saying, it's a 2-for-1 $19 leather wallet. You can buy it now. Big old thing with the price, and that's what you're hammering home. The quality says this is, you know, German-made leather with, you know, great, you know, stitching and all of these things, really close-in shots of all the elements. Product shot might be a cool guy like holding a wallet, putting it in his ass pocket, something like that. And the testimonials might be some woman saying, yeah, I bought this for my husband for his birthday. He really loved it. He's been using it for 5 years, yada, yada, yada. It has RFID, what, pop, 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 right? So anyway, those are 4 different types of ads you can run. Hi, Christina. Those are 4 different types of ads you can run. But if you notice, they all focus on a different sales pitch. They all have a different concept. You picking up what I'm putting down? Now, the copy is the same across all of them, because the only thing that we're changing is the actual image being used, or the actual creative, because it could be an image, it could be a video. In this case, when I say creative, it's the thing that goes in the box between the body text and above the headline. That's the creative, right? So these are organized by creative concept. The copy, however, is the same, and it's the same across all of them. And we'll get into why that's really important for the scientific method later, because we'll do a recap of, you know, elementary school science, because it's really important. But sales copy A might be super soft sell. Sales copy B might be really hard sell. Buy now, buy now. Sales copy C might be one of those, you know, full of emojis with a bit.ly in it and all sorts of stuff. But it's the same for each thing. So you, as an advertiser, have to think of copy and work through copy that will work generically for all of these. Why is that important? When we're working at broad, we're not trying to find the right ad for this lookalike and the right ad for that interest group and the right ad for all these things. Because the only way for us to really take that win and scale it is to spend a shit ton of money in a place we don't want to do business to begin with. Hi, Michelle. We don't want to do that, right? So what we want to do is we want to win in a place where we can scale. We want to win in a place where performance will be stable. We want to win in a place where our objective is to appeal to as many people as possible. Because when you appeal to as many people as possible, you reach them for as cheap as possible. And your efficiencies are the best that you can get. So you'll hear me say this a lot, and I want to hammer this home real quick. Your number one goal in running a campaign is one of two things. Either A, spend as much as possible at the same cost, or B, spend the same amount of money, but get lower and lower costs. Either way scales performance. A lot of times people talk about, well, I want to scale my campaign. I want to scale my campaign. And so many times what they're forgetting is you can scale performance without increasing the amount of money that you spend by getting things for cheaper. You know, over the last few months, for instance, I was working with somebody and we were able to reduce their cost by 80%. Right? I'm not going to give away full on numbers here. No, sorry. I think it was 60%. My apologies. Not 80, 60%. So if we were running at $100, we're now getting sales around $40. Those aren't the numbers. I'm not going to give away product and thing, but anyway, you see where I'm going. And so our spend actually went down a little bit, but the amount of sales that we were getting went from maybe 10 a day to 16 a day. And we were able to do that on less spend. So when you're trying to scale your campaign, remember, it's either you want to keep the same cost and spend more, or reduce your cost while spending the same. Either way will get you somewhere. So when we're looking at this, if you notice, so it's broad, it's one campaign for prospecting, only one campaign. There's no lookalikes. There's no interest groups. There's no behaviors. Now, I mean, maybe for you, if you're doing DR, you want to layer on engaged shoppers across all of it, that's fine. But what I'm telling you is the basis here is one campaign for you to spend the absolute bulk of your money on. And the point of this campaign is that you're running creative testing. Now, I want to also define that. Creative testing doesn't mean that we're looking for a winner and then we're going to try to spend as much on that winner someplace else. Creative testing means we're throwing a bunch of ads into the ecosystem and we're going to get rid of the ones that don't work. Now, you've seen this already on the automated rules, and if you need to catch up, please look at the live from last week or check out some of the ebooks that have come out. The BBCBO ebook is good. The CCCBO, the cost cap campaign budget optimization ebook is really good. There's a whole book I wrote on just optimization. And by the way, these ebooks, they're like 10 slides. They're PowerPoints, and they're fucking free if you do the homework, right? So I'm not selling anything. I'm just trying to help you out. With that being said, what we're trying to do here is get the best ads. Now, remember we said scaling can be done by either increasing spend or increasing efficiency. Sometimes you can increase spend by reducing the amount of money you spend on losers. Therefore, your winners get more money. So when you're going through your ads, when you turn off the ads that don't work or your automated rules eliminate them, in this situation, say we have 12 ads and say we're spending $100, they might all be getting $8.50, something along those lines, right? If we knock out 2 of the ads, well, then they're all really kind of getting the chance to spend $10, right? Say we get rid of half of those. Now they're all spending like $20, $30, $40, $50. If we get down to the top like 2 or 3 ads here, you're able to spend, like I said, $30, $40, $50 on an ad. If you're spending $40 on an ad, which previously you're spending $8.50, you've effectively scaled that ad by 5x. Now, if your one ad was running at $25 and your good ad is running at $20, and you increase the spend on the 21 by 5x, you, without raising your spend, you have increased your efficiency by like 20%, which means you're selling 20% more product. It's like instead of spending $100, you're spending $120, but you're not wasting money. You're just getting the same amount of sales for cheaper, which is perfectly fucking reasonable for a lot of businesses. So that's kind of the goal here. So let me walk you through what this looks like when we all have this going. So first, I want to say, while I have these set up in this system for what I'm talking about today, we're doing lowest cost bidding. We're doing 1 day post click because we're concerned about performance, not about looking good on a report to somebody else. If you're running any campaign, it's something other than 1 day post click. Understand that the majority of the results that you're going to be trying to get or that you're looking for aren't directly being able to be tied to Facebook. You're getting into a whole bag of fucking worms, and I highly suggest everybody get away from anything other than 1 day post click. Knowing that 1 day post click isn't an actual representation, it's probably 80% of the sales that are going on. Most of the time, it accounts for roughly 75 to 80% of the sales. So say you're running a campaign on 1 day post click and it costs you $20 to make a sale. Well, really, your sale, say at the $20, say you're making 10 sales. Really, you're making about 12 and a half or 13. And you can go into Google Analytics and you can go into, Google 360 and Facebook attribution and you can spend a shit ton of money and have your hardest minds all arguing in a room. I'll tell you from my own personal experience, it's roughly 20 to 25%, 15 to 25% lift after 1 day post click to the rest of your campaign when you account for Google and email and just natural behavior. So 1 day post click, lowest cost bidding. Every one of these is targeting the same broad audience at 18 plus men and women, United States, for the purpose of this example. Each ad, there's one ad per ad set. Now maybe you have two, that's fine. But one piece of creative creates 3 different ads because it's creative number 1 with copy A, creative number 2 with copy B, creative 3 with copy C. Creative 1, whatever, you know what I'm saying. So it's one ad with 3 sets of copy, another ad with the same 3 sets of copy, different picture, another ad with the same 3 sets of copy in a different picture, and once again, all the same things, but a testimonial, probably a video. And you can use the video for any one of these. Actually, video will give you a slightly lower CPM and a slightly higher estimated action rate. Doesn't necessarily mean you make more conversions, but it's good to include. Okay, so when you're running this, what will we find out? How is this more helpful? How does this make things work better? First thing, because you're running it against broad, you're getting a lower CPM. You're paying the lowest possible cost to reach this audience, to reach those eyeballs that Facebook is going to let anyone spend, right? So immediately, you're getting your inventory, your eyeballs, the potential customer, your impressions for the lowest possible cost. Also, because you're not targeting a specific interest group, you're not competing with other people that are driving up the cost of that inventory. So it's even cheaper on days like Black Friday. Second thing, because we're running it against broad, we're not limiting the impressions that we're letting Facebook spend. We're saying, Facebook, if you think anybody in the United States might be interested in buying, show them one. Which means that, remember, interest groups aren't infallible. It's not perfect. A behavior isn't exact. Those have, I've been told, 20 to 50% match rates of people talking about something. Like if you go in and type in an interest group of a TV show that has 1 million watchers every fucking week, the audience of that TV show might only be 700,000 people. That's not fucking possible. So you see that the match rate isn't perfect. It's a guideline. It's a thing to let ad agencies look good and for people that are new to the platform to feel like they got a fighting chance. It's Facebook's attempt at making it easier to use. And it's outdated. There was a time and a place where that was the best way of doing business. Like when I was running CBS or Nissan or any of these other companies running all of their $1 million a day ad campaigns, we were using that shit constantly. That was also 5 fucking years ago, 4 years ago, whatever. Facebook is light years ahead of that now. The machine learning, the AI behind Facebook is 10 times smarter than that, and you never need to use them again. So we're getting the cheapest audience, and we're not saying that we're not letting Facebook restrict anybody from seeing our product. We're saying anybody that wants to buy a product can see the ad. Now, how does Facebook know in broad targeting who's interested in the product? Facebook pixels are on basically every website on the face of the fucking planet. Now, Facebook sees that because if, like on your website, say your website is up and your neighbor's got a website that's selling the exact same fucking thing. I go to your neighbor's website. I trip all their Facebook pixels. That data is now inside the Facebook ecosystem. Say you then target people to try to sell the same thing your neighbor is, but you got another price or better ad or something else like that, and I see your ad. Facebook showed me your ad because it knew that I was recently in the market to buy the product that you're selling because I was on your neighbor's website trying to buy that very fucking product. This happens to every website on the, every website, I guess not on the face of the planet, but yeah, I guess they're on the planet. No website storage units are in space, whatever. Every website on the internet, like 90% of them have a Facebook pixel on them. Every website that you go to, all the searches that you're doing, all the products that you're looking, all the things that you're talking about, all the messages you send your friends, all of that tells people, Facebook, what kind of products you're interested in, what type of ads that you respond to, what type of sales pitch gets you involved, what type of things catch your eye, because Facebook is also measuring how much time you spend looking at pictures, how much time you spend watching videos, what type of videos do you watch, right? And your news feed is curated for the kinds of things you like. It's also showing you the ads that you like, because remember, our job is to make content that the user will engage with so that they come back to Facebook. If Facebook was all just bad ads all the time, then nobody would use fucking Facebook. It'd be completely fucking worthless to everybody. So when we're making these ads, we're trying to find what is the right ad that's going to reach the right person that's interested in my product and show them the ad that they're most likely to respond to. A lot of times people, well, I've got a killer fucking ad, I'm going to send it to everybody. Well, their killer fucking ad probably worked against a good little section of people. Maybe 10,000 people responded well to it. What happens when you push it against 100 million? It'll fucking fail. Instead of asking one ad to reach 100 million fucking people, this is a system right here where, for very little fucking work, you've got 12 options to reach 100 million people. Now that's already better by a magnitude of over 10x. Now, honestly, like I said, in my own systems, I usually run like 6 or 10 or 15 ad sets at any given time. This is a simplified version, but this is good enough, right? By the way, this is good enough to run $1,000 a day on and constantly every week get better and better CPAs. You can run your entire business off of just this and get more and more efficient every fucking week. This is easy, right? This is simple. Which is why I'm trying to share it. So, how does this work? We've already talked about the way it works inside the ecosystem. We know what our responsibility to Facebook is. So we've launched the money. We've built the ads out. We've launched the campaign. We're spending money. Then what? Well, let's say that our automation is now set in place so that we know if an ad spends 20 times my target CPA and the cost per is like 2x what I'm willing to spend, it doesn't work. So that ad doesn't work well, that ad doesn't work well, that ad doesn't work well, and that ad doesn't work well. Over time, we've already eliminated the worst ad from every ad set because it just sucks, right? Well, already we can see a couple things. One, it looks like copy B and copy C are pretty strong. Copy A is all right, but we know that copy C and copy B are strong. And we've now increased our efficiency just by doing this. We've eliminated the lowest 1/3 of our ads, which means our performance has already gone up by probably 1/3. Maybe not directly, but our opportunity to win, we've eliminated the ads that absolutely suck. Doing this might take you from a 50 down to a 40. All right, let's be reasonable. $50 cost per is now down to a $40 cost per because we've eliminated the ads. Our automation has eliminated the ads that don't work, right? Now, over time, when we're doing this, by the end of the week, maybe this has kind of worked itself out. And by the next week, we're seeing, well, this testimonials is getting like twice the spend of everything else. Our instinct would be, well, let's funnel as much money as we can into it. And I see this all the time. That's the wrong thinking. This campaign, at the budget that you've set your overall campaign at, this ad set inside of the campaign has decided to spend that much here because it knows that it can win there. If you were to try to isolate this and ramp the shit out of it, it would fail. Just like when you look at performance, like, well, this ad works really well as an Instagram post. I'm just going to isolate it as an Instagram post and run a shit ton of money on it. Oh, fuck, it didn't work anymore. Facebook's trying to steal my money. No, Facebook isn't trying to steal your money. It's showing you. Given a $1,000 a day budget, this thing's getting $600 a day. And really, it's this ad that's getting like $400. That's a really likely situation. However, maybe a third of the time, it's this quality ad that's getting most of the spend. And what you're noticing is this price ad doesn't really get a lot. It does well. It gets like $10 conversions all fucking day, and your goal is maybe 30. But you just notice that it doesn't spend a lot. And that's because there are very few people that respond well to this. But because you have that as an option, when Facebook sees them, it's able to convert them for really fucking cheap, because it's like, oh, this person's on. We know this person's going to like the price thing. Let's just show it to them. Boom, we got them at $10, at $12, at $15, whatever. And it's netting out to 10. And the old school advertising world, you're like, well, we need to ramp the fuck up spend on this. Why don't we do it? And then you try to isolate it, and this is what happens. So all those jackasses that aren't doing this, they're doing the gurus that are trying to teach you all sorts of other lookalikes and sneak attacks and bubble and cloud and all that other bullshit. The reason that doesn't work is because there's only so much inventory that this works at. A campaign performance, the performance of this campaign is the net result of all of the elements of the campaign. The way to improve campaign performance is remove the worst players. Basically, cut the bottom off. Continue slow optimization of your ads at each level, and your overall campaign will do better. It'll get more efficient. Now, this is if you want to spend the same amount of money and just want increased efficiency over time. Now, if your goal is to spend more and more money, if you effectively work the same, only you're going to try to spend more and more, and you'll eliminate the ones that rise too high. That's a different thing, but let's go back to trying to get the most bang for our buck. So say we've done this, and by the end of week 2, we're hitting $40 every week, and we're happy. We're more or less $40 every day, and we're stoked. You've got 2 options. One, you're like, well, I want to increase budget, but I can't afford it. I don't have the money to be able to afford that. I don't have the product. I don't have the inventory. I don't have the customer resources. Whatever it is, I can't fulfill it. My credit card isn't strong enough. Whatever. So then you're left with the option of, okay, instead of trying to scale this campaign in the old school way of throwing more money at a problem and then seeing it get worse, let me try to improve this. So how do you improve a campaign that's already running at, an efficiency that you're happy with? What we do is we go in and we start to eliminate problems. So say we're running at $40, but price copy B is running at like $45. And product shots copy C, let's say quality copy A is running at like $42. Because we've eliminated the $42 and the $45 player, our average cost is going to go down tomorrow, like immediately. Doing this, just eliminating the 2 highest cost items, will force your average to get lower and lower. Now what we see, well, copy C seems to be really strong. It's live in almost all of the ads. It's really good. What does this tell us? It means the copy C is probably our control copy, because we're running out of ads here. So we need to launch new ad sets. We need to launch new concepts. And it looks like, well, product shots and testimonials are really strong. So maybe let's get another picture of product shots. And, the price one held out pretty well. It did better than the quality. So, but the quality spent a lot more. We were happy with it. So what do you do is, well, let's get another set of product shots. Let's use one other picture, launch a new ad set. And like, well, the quality one was able to spend more money, and our goal is to spend more money and be stable. So we're going to get another ad that talks to the quality of it. And our testimonials are great. So we're going to go back out and talk to some influencers and maybe ask them to do an Instagram story, and then we'll take the video of that Instagram story and run it as an ad. And we're going to get more testimonials because these things are fucking rock star. How do we increase the spend here? We launch another ad set that's similar and another ad set that's similar. So while we're developing all of that, what we've effectively done here is we eliminated the losers that were over $50, so we got to $50 or less. That netted us around $40. We had a couple of ads that were running at like 42 or 45. We've eliminated those, so now our cost has come down. Now remember, the whole point of this was to talk about targeting by creative, right? So what's left? What's left is a very interesting ecosystem. We know that for the users that are interested in price, we have the best set of copy against an ad that has been running for weeks that has a fair amount of spend and a lot of social proof. So by the time somebody who price is the right sales pitch comes online and is starting to look for our product, we're going to be able to be in their feed with the best ad that's going to convert them. Now, we know there's not a lot of people, but we know that we've got the best thing because we've tested our way into it. And if we want to try something later, we can always, make several new ads. And all the new ads are going to have this copy C on it. And one thing we notice is, well, copy A only really worked in one spot, so maybe we'll use it again. But copy B held on for a good period of time. So moving forward, our new ads are going to start with copy C and copy B, and we're going to write a new soft sell. Copy A, I think, was our soft pitch, right? We're going to write a new soft pitch ad copy. So now we're testing ad copy. We're having ad creative. We understand that these ads have all gone out into battle. They've won impressions. They've failed, trying to make sales. They understand this price ad copy C knows who the fuck is going to respond really well to it. Not only that, this ad set knows who the best person is to respond to this ad because the data is collected at the ad level and because the ad set determines which ad inside of that ad set is going to be the one to get the impression, to win, to be put into the auction. And the campaign is deciding out of all the ads that say, hey, I got somebody, which ad to throw money at. So this price inside of a 100 million person audience might really appeal to 20,000 people. Now, instead of having to have an interest group of 20,000 people, that's the exact right one, which by the way, that interest group doesn't exist, and paying a shit ton of money for it, what you've effectively done is had this ad make a lookalike audience of everybody else that's responded to that ad with this concept. So every one of these ads is dynamically at any given time making their own lookalike. And that lookalike isn't a 1%, it's not a 10%, it's not 1 million, it's not 10 million. We know what somebody looks like that's interested in our ad, which means now when this broad campaign has the option of delivering an ad to our target audience, which is everybody in America over the age of 18, whenever anybody in America over the age of 18 refreshes their Facebook feed or Instagram feed or scrolling through their stories, each one of these ads understands what a target customer that is successful looks like, which is effectively what a lookalike ad set is. It's saying, here's a data set, find me a bunch more people that look like that inside of this broad audience. Because the lookalikes, remember, they happen in this broad audience. All you're doing is restricting this broad audience with a lookalike. That's all you're doing. So when you have the ad defining who their target market is, they're going to be the ones that are competing for that impression against that user. Now, That user might be in 50 different interest groups and 100 different lookalikes, but because you're targeting them based off of broad, you're getting that user for cheaper. And because you're running them with an ad that has already been out in battle, that knows that it's going to win, that Facebook understands who the right person is, that has a shit ton of social proof on it and a bunch of learnings, these ads are going to have a higher estimated action rate. Because they have a higher estimated action rate, they're going to have a lower bid, which means you're going to get the sale for a lower price because your bid is lower and the cost of your inventory is lower. So you can fail more often, even though you're less likely to fail than somebody else. So over time, we've now gotten ourselves down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ads, right? 5 from 12. Let's just, for the purpose of this conversation, let's say that this price guide just ultimately didn't win because we wanted to get our price below 35, and that was the only one hanging on, and it was at a 38. The rest of these are like 27, 30, whatever. Well, now we know price needs new creative. It held on. It did well. We understand that this is a sales pitch that works, but for whatever reason, it wasn't efficient enough to run at our current cost goal. Now, by the way, this is day one, your goal is to sell for 50, but by the third or fourth week, using automation and creative testing, we've gotten ourselves down to 35. Now, this isn't an endless thing. It's not by week, by month 3, you're going to be down to $5. But almost everybody's paying far too fucking much for their conversions. I almost guarantee you're probably paying at least twice what you should be. And the only way to get that number is by doing this. Because even today, if you're getting sales for $20 or $50 or $100, you're going to find that there are ads that might be getting it during the day. Well, this one's getting it for 12 or 4 or 200. There are bad ads in there, but the aggregate is what you're getting effectively charged. It's the average price of doing business. All we're doing is saying we want everything that performs above our average cost, and we're going to eliminate it, which means all the money gets shoved to the things that are performing below cost, and we're going to lower our new target. Doing this will effectively make you far more efficient, and because you're reducing the amount of campaigns that you're running, you can spend more money in this campaign than you would in other ones. Instead of having 5 campaigns, you're trying to spend $100 a piece, you can spend 501 campaign, which means it's going to win faster. And a win is stability. You want to understand what the cost is every week and then beat it on almost a week over week basis. For the last few months since I've been using this, I have been able to do one of two things. I've either been able to raise my spend level at the same cost or reduce my cost at the same spend. Either way, I am scaling performance, and I'm doing that via creative testing. This is a dramatic shift in the way we've been taught to run ads, but this is a dramatic improvement over the way that most people run their Facebook campaigns. 9 times out of 10, when people ask me to come and help them on a Facebook campaign, what I do is I'll spend a week, a month, whatever, getting them to do this and walking them through each individual step. Yeah. So anyway, that's the lesson for this week. I hope it makes sense. I know there's some of you that have stayed on for the whole hour, and God bless you for it. The main takeaways I want you to get from this is 1, use the same copy everywhere. Number 2, you don't need fucking lookalikes. And 3, you can do this. This is completely within the realm of possibility for you to accomplish. You can make this happen. And your goal is to either keep the same cost while spending more or reducing your cost at the same level of spend. That's it. You only have 2 goals. Well, really 1 goal is to accomplish one of those 2 tasks. And the way you do that, knock out the worst performing ads and constantly launch new ones, and use your control copy and test new ones. It's just that easy. And there's no right or wrong for how often do you launch new ads. If you get a bunch of loser ads, you got to launch more sooner. If you got a bunch that are winning, you don't need to try as hard. But that's the fucking real magic. Running Facebook isn't about finding the right interest group. It's about being a real advertiser. It's about writing copy. It's about coming up with a good ad. And it's about understanding how to use your automation and account structure. Do this to save yourself hours every week and make more money. All right, some questions we got here. Austin says, so copy A in your price ad set is still different than copy A and quality ad set, right? No, it's the exact same copy. So copy A, copy B, and copy C is the exact same. The creative is different. So this is a picture or a video that talks about price. This is a picture or video that talks about quality. This is a picture or video about the product. And this is a picture or video giving a testimonial. But the actual copy A, copy A, copy A, copy A is the exact same thing, copy and paste, word for word. You can, if you want to be extra credit and you want 6 ads instead of 3, change the headline. The only thing you should change from ad to ad, the only thing you should change is one thing at a time. And you should be able to do that systematically, because the scientific method says we're going to make a hypothesis, we're going to change one variable at a time, and we're going to understand the value of it at every part of the test. So this is creative testing, but made super simple. Raba, you just missed it, man. You put your ass on repeat. This is the shit, buddy. But you know it. Raba's seen all this stuff in the Slack. So one campaign for prospecting, and creative testing to let Facebook do all the work for you. All right? Because your job is making ads and enjoying life, not trying to outsmart Facebook, because it's smarter than all of us. The machines have won. Just fucking take their money. Anyway, that's that. Unless there are any other questions. Happy Saturday. I got more rock and roll machines to make, so I'll see you guys later. Hope you enjoyed it. All right, bye. Invite your friends. Where's that puppy? Where's that?